Right, so welcome. We really do have to give our two fans that we have a name, like
Woo!
kind of like welcome morning coffee, something cool. I don't
Yeah.
know. But anyway, welcome back. We hope you are enjoying our new style, our new setup. I think it's really cool because it's kind of almost like nothing really has changed in the sense because we've always recorded like this where we're seeing each
Yeah.
but it's actually cool now that everybody else we I guess now that our facial expressions and all of that will be exposed to the world, so that's cool.
Yeah.
No, I guess let's just jump in.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so today we're going to be talking about pet peeves
And
because
we've got a lot.
who doesn't have pet peeves? I honestly probably my list probably could have kept going and going and going, but I decided to stop, and I figured that if you brought some up, then I could just, you know, go with you.
Bounce off. Yeah.
Exactly. So we can always just like alternate.
Okay.
All right. So my first one that came to mind almost in a heartbeat, which was pretty funny, was or is one of my pet peeves is that if I'm gonna mop, you and whoever's in the house needs to stay where they're at and like don't walk when I'm mopping. Even if you think it's dry, don't walk. Like because the thing is, like, if you risk it and it really isn't dry, it's one of those things like, I just cleaned it. Stop it, So that's one of my biggest pet peeves is just don't walk around when I'm mopping. Just don't do it.
Yeah. My mom hates it and I still do it.
Ah,
I mean, usually she mops when I'm not home.
yeah.
So, but it's a good thing we never lived together then
Yep.
because I would be like, "Oh, sorry, were you just mopping? My bad."
Yeah.
And I do that little walk that everybody does when it's like
That's like
so
the
wet.
panther walk or something. Just
I don't know what it's called.
no.
Yeah, I've had a few mishaps. Oh, that's what you're calling it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a few mishaps where I've actually, like, slipped and fallen? And I
Oh,
fell.
oh, fell. Okay.
I don't know. Again, never said I was good at English.
Now that you said that, I actually had an incident where my sister was mopping, and I thought it would be cool to like have like my own slip and slide. So we have a hallway in my parents' house.
Yeah.
It's like a room, and then the hallway, and then another room. So I thought it would be cool to start from my room and slide over using the wet floor to my brother's room. Well, I did it, and when I slipped and I fell, but I fell with my arm up. So like I popped out my clavicle. And so yeah. And so it was literally popped out. Like it was a little larger than the other one. So I had to go get x-rays done. And that was the first time I remember like that I remember being in the hospital.
Yeah.
Um and they did x-rays and everything. And it turns out that I didn't like break anything or like I was perfectly fine. But for the longest, my clavicle was like sticking out. So I mean, I learned my lesson then. Yeah, but yeah, it's a funny story. I mean,
When was this?
I was I was like 8 or 9.
Oh, no wonder I don't remember anything past, like, 2 years ago, so
Like, yeah. So I was 8 or 9. So after that, I was like, okay, first of all, it's not safe, and second of all, me then being the one to mop, then it turned into like, I'm mopping, stop it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What do you know? I learn new things. Well, mine's not it's I don't like feet, and so I don't like people, like, cause like, on the couch,
Mm-hmm.
like, with my, like, siblings and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they like to lay across the couch. I'm like, oh, I
Uh,
need to sit down too. And so they put the feet on top of me. I hate that. Like, I hate it with a passion. I hate feet so much. I hate looking at them. Hate
Really?
it. Yeah. Feet are just gross.
Huh.
So that's why I'm like, I don't know if it's a pet peeve or just to say, like, I just don't like feet. Like, don't touch me with your foot.
Oh, that's interesting anyway. So it fits the
Yeah, I
so
don't know what it is. Feet creep me out. Ooh. No, I'm just thinking about it.
that's so funny. Oh wow. I don't think I mean, I think to a certain degree, I could get creeped out by it, or you know how people have like terrible nails, or they just some
Hmm.
people's feet happen to be a little bit more gross than other people's feet. Um, but it's not, yeah, it won't like completely like, oh my gosh, I like, you know what I mean, like just
Yeah. And
yeah.
well, like, it's not even, it's just like feet in general. Cause like, if you have socks, it still creeps me out. Like, I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is. Just don't touch
Well, we'll
me with
just
your foot.
see if somebody can diagnose you into if there's like an official term for that.
Official term for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's one of my phobias that I have that I didn't think about before.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Um, this next one that I want to mention, I'm gonna wait till the end because this one gets me really heated. So we're just gonna keep them light a little bit and then kind of build up
Okay.
into like this one that I on my list. It's number 2, but I'm gonna wait for the ending. Um, so this next one is not a huge deal, but it used to really bug me like in high school and college. So you know how every teacher says like there's no such thing as a dumb question,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to like the content, like what they're teaching. And I get
Yeah.
it, because there are some people who are afraid to ask a question, thinking that it's obvious and you know they don't want to ask it. But for all you know, like everyone wants somebody to be brave enough to ask the question because everybody,
Hmm.
right? But then there are those times when teachers or professors are giving like instructions and they're telling you, they're being very clear about something, or like maybe an exam's coming up and they're telling you like, this is a Scantron you need, this is what time, or whatever the case is, right?
Hmm.
And then you have that one student that says, what Scantron do we need? And you're just like,
He
why are
literally
you wasting
just said
every
it.
yes, why are you wasting all of our time into having the professor repeat that you clearly were not paying attention? Like, so that kind of just like when they do that, it's like, pay attention. And the worst part is when you see that they're on their phone and they miss that information,
Hmm.
and then they ask the question, you're just like, oh gosh. So
Yeah. Yeah. What now that we're talking about school and stuff, what I didn't like was when people would ask for like help on something,
mhm.
but they had made no effort as to like what the homework was. It was like, hey, can you help me on this? I was like, oh yeah, well, like what's the specific part you need help on? Oh, I haven't finished it and I want to get it done before so and so. So I'm like, well, do it. Like,
Mm,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I
Yep.
don't mind helping you. Like, that's not a problem. It's helping you if you like haven't like you don't have the full understanding of something's going on. Like, that's not a problem. But if you're just like, hey, I need help. Pretty much, I need somebody to do it for me.
Right.
That's where I'm just like, nope, back away. Just back up.
Yep. I get you. Okay. This one is okay. When people like, so there's people who crunch, right? There's crunchy food, but that doesn't get to me unless you're crunching with your mouth open. So people who eat their chips and then they just like they announce to the world that they're eating chips. That gets to me, and it's not something that like the moment you chew it, like I get triggered, like it's almost as if my brain's just like, okay, whatever, it goes over my head, right?
Hmm.
But after a while, if they keep eating, because a chip is not something that you just and then you're done, like for the most part
Yeah.
you keep going. So if they keep going, it eventually, I'm just like, my brain's like, what is going on, what is happening, this needs to stop. So that's, I think noise wise, that's one of the biggest ones that I'm just like,
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah,
okay with the slurping. Like I think I have a tolerance for the slurping. It's not like my favorite thing, but I have a tolerance for it. But the crunching with the mouth open, that one I'm just like, oh gosh, please don't.
I I feel like it doesn't bother me unless I'm like already annoyed by that person. And then
Oh.
if I for some odd reason I'm eating with them and I hear it, then I'm just like, okay, you know what? This needs to stop. But there was one time where like we had a whole bunch of people in our room studying and
Mhm.
one of our like roommates was chewing very, very loudly. I'm just like, come
Mm.
on, man. That's why I actually spoke up on it. So that was like the one time where I ever said anything really.
And it was noticeable too, if especially.
Yeah, like it wasn't like I was looking like making eyes at other people like I'm not the only one hearing this, right? Like I'm not crazy.
Uh-huh.
So and then so I actually brought it up. I was like, hey, I'm chewing a little loud over there, buddy. But yeah. No, I don't yeah. It doesn't bother me, but I don't like it when people chew with their mouth open for sure.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, but the one thing that does bother me is when they chew like their gum
Mm.
and the very what's I don't in
Proud
the
of it.
cow like fashion where
Oh,
it's just like
like where they're enjoying
I don't
it,
want to do it.
but it's a little too much.
Yeah,
Mm.
because I mean, yeah, I my sister does it sometimes.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, do you realize it? She's like, yeah, I know. She's like, I started doing it as a joke, and then I haven't stopped doing it since.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That or like
So,
there's people who get really into the popping their gum, which
oh yeah,
I mean it is kind of fun, but I guess in a public setting, sometimes you get so caught up and you probably don't realize that you're still doing it. So
yeah.
there's the gum thing. Or especially like in an office setting, it's probably not, especially if it's like quiet, it's probably not the best.
You just constantly hear the popping.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, there's that. Okay, this other one, I don't know who all can agree with this, but the reply all in an email. You don't always
Mm,
have to hit reply all. You really,
yeah.
really, especially if you want to
There's a reply to sender.
yeah, exactly. Literally, it's just reply and then reply all.
Hmm.
You don't always have to click reply all. And I think there's another one that I actually read about, which reminded me of my husband because he had mentioned this before. Whenever somebody sends an email to you and then they CC your boss, and you're just like, did you really need to involve my boss? Like, was
Yeah.
that worthy of my boss's time when we could have settled this in a phone call or we could have cleared up a misunderstanding or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, you really have to go tell mom about it kind of deal.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I get that. What's that? I've never really understood the meaning of like a CC. Like, what's the difference between a CC and just adding them as one of the centers? And
So
this just might be me.
no,
Not,
and
I mean,
then there's BCC.
yeah. So this is my hey. There's not a lot of dumb questions that I'm asking.
So when you send it to somebody, you're basically saying, like let's say we're colleagues, right? And I need to request something from you.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to send it to you. But let's say that the department head needs a copy of it or needs to be in the loop, then you CC them while I'm sending it to you. So then when you get CC'd in an email, the understanding is it's not necessarily for me. Like I don't necessarily have to reply. Like they're not asking of me.
So it's basically just a copy of what happened.
Yeah, kind of like
Okay.
FYI, so I don't have to forward this to you later.
Mm-hmm.
During the loop, like
Got
part
it.
of the
Okay.
conversation. And the BCC is the same thing as CC, but it's a secret. So if I'm going to send it to you and
Oh.
I BCC your boss, you won't, when you receive it, you won't know.
Honestly, how rude.
Yeah, exactly.
Just you're gonna tell me straight to my face.
Yeah. So that's,
Yeah. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Now I know. See, I don't know. I don't send that many emails, I guess,
I
at
was
work.
gonna say that I mean, it's not like yours was like email, like intensive. There's other,
Yeah.
mine was all about emails. So that's why I brought up the reply all, like, sometimes you would get an email and you're like, oh, like you're working on something, and you would get an email
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, let me attend to this email. But then all it turned out to be was somebody saying thank you to somebody else, and you were like, he wasted.
Did I really? I don't.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think I would do well in a just a straight up office setting.
But now you know to
Yeah.
CC and BCC.
Yeah, I didn't know BCC. I'm gonna do that all the time now, just because I can.
Yeah, people.
Um, just tell people. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay, so mine is like, you know how we like tell people that they can borrow something. I hate when people just keep going for it once you've told them just one time. You know what I mean? And they're like constantly getting that stuff.
What do you mean?
So
Some
if I'm like, hey, can I like uh whatever, can I use like a pen or something? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. And you like give it to them, but then they're constantly just coming and taking your pen no
uh,
matter what, without asking first. And I don't like that unless I'm like straight up, hey, grab a pen whenever you want. Go ahead. I don't care.
oh.
But it's like using something constantly. So if I was like,
Kind of like when you ask the first time, and then somehow that gives you an automatic admission to use it every single time after that.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah, that I'm very picky with that. Sorry,
Okay,
you can hear my dogs barking.
it's fine.
But like, so I'm like, look, if you want to keep using it again, hey, just be like, hey, can I use this like from
Definitely.
now on? Be like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. I don't care. I usually don't care. Just ask.
Mhm. That's funny. I mean,
That's not a great
I
woman.
think with certain things that it could definitely get out of hand, almost to the point where you're just like, okay, dude. Which
Yeah.
actually kind of brings me to my next pet peeve.
Okay.
Um, don't reach on my plate for my food. Just don't do it. Like, like if you want to try something, you need to ask me that you want to try something. Like if you want to fry,
Oh,
ask
yeah.
me that you want to fry. Do not reach over and think that it's okay for you to just grab one of my fries. I'm super, 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 super territorial with my food, which
Yeah.
if you haven't watched the last video, please go watch it. You can understand where I'm coming from. But I'm super territorial with my food, especially because, like I mentioned in the last episode, to me, eating is like an experience. It's like
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So when I visually see what's on my plate, I already have the intention of eating everything on my plate. So when somebody goes on and reaches without asking, it's almost as if you're stealing my food, even though that's not what you know what I mean? Like I don't work well with
Yeah.
um I used to be really bad at sharing my food, honestly. Like even if you wanted to try it and I knew that I could eat it all, it almost hurt me to be like, okay, fine. Like, yeah, sure, you can have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so little of it.
Hmm.
But I've learned to share. I'm just one of my biggest pet peeves is like don't just assume that you can grab whatever's on my plate. Like
Yeah.
those memes or when they talk about how girls reach over to to their boyfriend's
No.
plate, whatever. I'm
No.
so against that. I'm so against that. So if you're a girlfriend that does that, like I feel their pain. Don't do that. That is, I can't. Like that's not okay.
Yeah. No. Again, I'm like, if you want to like try something, ask me. I'm the one that's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I don't care.
Hmm.
Usually, I don't care, but again, ask.
Hmm.
But you're more of a ask, and I'll think about it. But probably no.
Well, I will say yes. It's just that like I don't like the wandering hands. Like I'm a Joey. If you've seen Friends,
Yeah.
like it used to be Joey doesn't share food. Like I don't share food. But that episode when she's just reaching over from his plate, like that gets me worked up cuz like girl, that's his plate, that's his food. Like you ordered your food. Like no, eat what's
Especially because she ordered a salad and he had a whole plate of fries.
on.
Like, if
Mhm.
you want fries, just order fries.
Yeah. And
I don't get that.
like I understand that sometimes like you're not craving it and you see it and it becomes
Yeah.
appealing, but do not steal the other person's plate or the other person's like food. Like at least have the courtesy to ask. That's all I'm saying. That's the compromise. have the courtesy to ask.
Yeah.
But you can't follow those rules. The good thing is I'm not dating you, so like moving on. Actually, my husband unfortunately did learn that the hard way, because when we got married and moved in together, he did that, and I honestly slapped his hand away, and he
Oh, you
yes, he looked at me very concerned, confused, and almost like, what just happened? And I looked at him like, what is wrong with you? And why are you confused that you don't understand what's going on? And so
yeah.
then I had to break it down. I was like, look, it doesn't work that way.
Just ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
mhm.
I get that. I get that. Yeah. I was trying to think if I had any food ones, but I don't think I do, sadly. Um, well, mine's the thing. It's just a weird thing I do, and it kind of bothers me. You know how, like, so let me get something real quick. So, like, I have this big tub of lotion, and I like to keep the whole thing like smooth on top, no matter what. And I don't like it when people dig their finger in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I just had to visualize it before when I said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hate that. I hate when people like dig their hand in something. And I just like to leave the top like even.
Okay.
Like I do that with ice cream too.
I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm a
It's so funny that you said
I
ice
have
cream.
issues.
Though. Yesterday we went to go get ice cream, which we normally don't, but we were treating ourselves to some ice cream, right? And I'm again, it's so funny that this is coming up. I feel like I'm like admitting all my faults here, but nobody's perfect, people. So my husband and I shared a banana split. And when it comes to ice cream and stuff, kind of like exactly what you just said, I was scraping the ice cream like perfectly proportional to how I was cutting the banana. Like just kind of like an even
Yeah.
scoop. And my husband, he went to the room to go get something, whatever, and then he came back out and he joined me on the banana split. And I had started from the left side, and I assumed when he comes back, he can start from the right side. This man grabs a spoon and he grabs from his side, then he jumps over to my side and he starts making a whole mess. He starts kind of combining everything. And I was like, what are you doing? And to him, he was talking to his siblings like nothing, it's like his subconscious mind. He was just kind of like handling his business. And I kept like, and then the tray kept rotating slowly, and I kept fixing it and like forcing the right side to him. And I was like, why
Yeah.
are you messing up this beautiful masterpiece? Like the nice, everything even and just kind of nicely scooped.
Hmm.
That thing ended up destroyed. So yeah. But back to your point, yes, evenness.
Yeah.
Get that.
And I think I do that with a lot of things. I like things a certain way kind of person. Let's just say that. So a lot of my pet peeves are things being like moved from their original position. And
Monica.
yeah. I don't think I was intense as her,
Right.
but I will bring it up. So like my nieces and nephew, like they like to my niece and my nephew like come in here and like touch my things, and it really bothers me
Mhm.
because well, I mean they're little, so obviously they'll break things. But second is like they'll move things around. I'm like, that's not where it goes. It had its spot. It stays in its spot. If you want to use it, take it, use it, bring it back to its spot.
Mhm.
And that's how I like things to be.
Hmm.
But I got that from my mom. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Huh.
My mom will throw anything away if it's not
Where
where
it's
it's
supposed
supposed to be.
to be.
So I had to learn the hard way for a few things.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, we've reached the end of my list. So this is my last one. That's on here. So this is a pretty big deal, I think. I think. Um if I, how people are like activists about things that they truly believe in, this is going to
mhm.
sound dumb, but if I could actually protest this or like Well, I guess protest is not the right word. I'm a little sensitive. If I could try to change the world, that's not a okay. Whatever. Anyway, uh,
If you could be that way for everybody, make it like a rule.
yes. Well, it
Okay.
is a rule. People use your blinker.
Oh,
Please, 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 please. Like that. It it really frustrates me. Like I feel like people who don't use their blinker create people with road rage. Like there's a reason why you're supposed to let somebody know. It's like when people show up to your house without like unannounced. It's like your boss showing up unannounced. It's like things happening unannounced. Nobody likes it. But yet when you're on the road, you want to decide that you want to turn and you don't let the person behind you know. Like really? That's
I
not okay.
I see people be like, it's none of their business of where I'm going. If you're gonna go into my lane, it kind of is my business.
Or if I crash into you and you want to get all up in my face about it, you didn't use your thinking blinker. If you would have told me, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Not to say that I've gotten in a crash before, and I'm also not excusing people who've gotten in a crash. All I'm saying is that communication is key. If they say that communicating fixes relationships or is an important part of relationships, guess what? If we're on the road together, we have a relationship. And it's to be safe on the road. We all want to get to home to our families. So please just use
Yeah.
your like I don't know.
Well, my thing is like when I'm riding with somebody and they like use their blinker and then they don't like turn it off and it just keeps going and you hear the constant like click 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 and I'm just like your blinker's still on. And then they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Your blinker's still on. Your blinker's still on. You haven't. You're not going anywhere. You're in the farthest left lane."
Yeah.
And so I really
That
that
happens
bothers me.
too. Yeah, I mean, whenever I'm in the car and I am one of those people. Again, I'm admitting my faults. But if I'm in the passenger seat and you're gonna switch lanes and you're not telling the person behind you, like if I catch that you're not like using your blinker, I'll just call you out on it. I mean, I'm not gonna like bug you about it the whole ride, but I'm gonna say, why didn't you use your blinker? Because in my head, it's like if I was the person behind, like maybe they don't care, but if I was behind you, I would appreciate to know. So the thing is,
Yeah.
I drive extra cautious on the freeway, like even during traffic, where I am the person who I don't tailgate people. Like I'll leave a space
Hmm.
because I can't read everybody's mind, right? And I always tell this to people, like in Houston, you have to drive for other people. Like it's not you're not just driving for yourself. You have to drive for other people because
Hmm.
not every we have bad drivers. We really do. And
Yeah.
so the thing is like I create space for the occasional, oh, I guess I want to switch lanes. And people decide to cut you off. Well, if I'm tailgating the person in front of me and you decide that you want to cut me off, I'm really putting myself in a hazardous situation where now, like I have to brake a little hard. And if Joe behind me, I just came up with that name, sorry, decides that he wants to tailgate me and I brake really hard, now
Yeah.
he's mad because I hit my brakes really hard out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's a chain effect. And again, people live in this world where all they think about is themselves. So they clearly do not care. And I'm not saying that my little rant is going to change the world because I don't think it is. And people probably rolled their eyes as they watched or listened to this. But all I'm saying is that's one of my biggest pet peeves. It's just like people who don't use their blinker. It's like, and it's really right next to you. It's not an inconvenience. It's not.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it was engineered to be literally right next to your steering wheel, but whatever.
Who knew you were so passionate about the use of blinkers?
I am. And you know what? I've seen I restrain myself so much on social media because every time I see that or somebody that like I know makes a joke about it, implying that they don't use their blinker, I honestly have to take deep breaths and just say it's not worth it. Don't be one of those social media trolls or whatever. So I just like move on. But yeah, it really gets to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think I have anything else. I mean, I do, but I can't think of anything because I know I have a lot of pet peeves. I'm a very particular person, and I know it, and
Mm.
it annoys. I annoy myself when I tell
I
other
get that. I
people.
know myself too. I mean, Hence me acknowledging that maybe some of my pet peeves are probably not that big of a deal to some people, except the blinker. That's a big deal. But I mean, I guess we all have a different environment around us, different things that, cause us to be the way that we are.
Like I had to restrain myself at work a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah. But and that's the thing though, like I guess, I mean, again, like I said, everyone has a different upbringing. But I feel like for us, one of the things is like our thing is restraining ourselves, biting our tongue. And there are people who, like, if it annoys me, I'm gonna let you know, and that's it. And so it's like it's two different perspectives or two different outlooks to the way that you respond to pet peeves. And that's another thing I was gonna say is like, whatever your pet peeve is, like, there's nothing wrong with something annoying you, because the truth of the matter is, like, something is bound to annoy you. But the way you decide to go about it, like, I mean, this is my little PSA, like, just be nice. I mean, I know it's super easy, especially when you're annoyed, to like be under the like the frustration and want to pull up on somebody and just kind of like shut them up or ask them to do something, but rudely, but I mean, just take that into consideration. Like, even though you're annoyed about it, they may be doing it, and they may not even be aware that they're doing it. That's the thing.
Well, I can like I said, when I do things, I kind of annoy myself because I know I'm passive aggressive towards things, especially because of my pet peeves, and a lot of it is like putting things back where you got it from. So my thing, like, okay, I'm just gonna bring it up. Like at work, Post-it notes. I keep one like at each station where I'm like, okay, this is where we constantly use them. Somebody like takes them and like moves them to another spot, and I'm like, okay, well now this spot doesn't have, and this spot has two. And then they're like, hey, they're at that location where they took away the Post-it notes. I'm like, hey, do we have any Post-it notes? I'm like, you took it to the other spot. If you would have just put it back, you wouldn't be asking me this question. But I don't say that. I was just like, yeah, I don't know where it's at. They're like, here's a Post-it note. And I just like give them one. So I'm very trying to be, I try not to be vocal about certain things.
Yeah.
Because I know I can be mean.
Yeah, I'm very mean in my head. I have to work on that. I was actually telling David about that I feel like sometimes there are certain things that like get under my skin, and I don't say anything, but in here I do, and it's just as bad, because sometimes, like, afterwards I'm just like, and I carry that with me, but it's not good, right? So
you have to find a happy medium.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, well, I guess we can keep this open-ended, because I know that we are not the only ones who have pet peeves. There are other people, and maybe some of the things that we said are not, and you can tell us why it's not a big deal, except for the blinker. Do not say anything about the blinker. That is fine. Well, we're gonna leave that one like that. But yeah, like, what are your pet peeves? What is something that maybe was, and you figured out a way to overcome that? Because that is interesting.
Yeah. Still haven't done that.
But you haven't gone off on people because of the Post-it notes, so.
No, not yet. So we'll see. Keep you updated.
Yep.
It hasn't happened that much, so it hasn't happened recently, so we'll see. We'll see.
And as always, make sure that you like our video, that you subscribe to us, that you like, share, comment, and do all the fun stuff. Please, please, please.
We appreciate it.
Yes. And we will see you for dark roast. Because when we post this video, the next thing will be dark roast.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I feel dumb.
Right. Adios, amigos.
Bye.
Bye.